You know, I think that shock treatment actually fixed my back problems.
Bet you can get one of those things on eBay.
It feels as if 2014 was just last month, but over 3 years ago, head of Xbox Phil Spencer made a surprise announcement to the world, in that Microsoft had a renewed focus in PC gaming. Some were pleased to hear this news, others felt less excited, what this not exactly being the first time they tickled the balls of PC gamers, only for no happy endings to ever come. At the time, the Xbox division was going through frequent leadership changes following the rocky launch of the Xbox One, so it's understandable to see sudden changes of direction during this period. Anyone remember the Kinect? And so here we are, not long before E3 2017, over 3 years on from the initial announcement. So how has Microsoft fared with their re-emergence into PC gaming? Oh, and you might have already figured this out, but you're going to hear the name Microsoft a bloody lot during this video. Microsoft announced their initiative in March 2014. The first actual fruits of their promises came in the form of Gears of War Ultimate Edition, a whopping 2 years later. Was this a mistake announcing so early ahead of time? Probably, but I could understand if they did it to get people invested into Windows 10 alongside DX12. But during these 2 years, Microsoft essentially had to periodically keep updating PC gamers, letting them know, hey, we haven't forgotten about you and we promise it's still coming. And I'm sure most people just saw this as another empty open letter to PC gamers for the third time in a row, simply just to push their new OS. Then when the game finally came out, it had a bad launch, despite being delayed by several months after the console release. It mainly suffered from bugs, hitches and crashes, which were eventually fixed, but as with all poor launches, the damage was done and Microsoft made PC gamers wait 2 years for the privilege. Those issues were just with the game itself. Microsoft choosing to be, well, Microsoft couldn't just launch the game on popular platforms such as Steam or Origin. No, they had to have their own store, which to me was fine as Steam has no real competition in the PC space, which it desperately needs. And if there's anybody who had the resources to create a worthy competitor, it would be the likes of a company the size of Microsoft. Whilst the Steam client offers hundreds of features as a sort of one-stop shop for all PC gamers, the Microsoft Store offers but 3 features. Yes, free, and those are the ability to buy games, view games that you own, and download said games. And until recently, only one of those features even worked reliably. In terms of social features such as a friends list and voice chat, the store has no real social features whatsoever. This is all handled by a separate PC app confusingly called Xbox, and here you are greeted by a somewhat cluster of a user interface where you can add friends, join party chats and check your achievements and a few other things. Whilst the app offers little in the way of features, what little it does do, it executes fairly well. One problem though I found is that, say if you want to browse what games to buy from within the Xbox app itself, when you select a game, it automatically launches the Windows Store as a separate app. Another instance I found was when I wanted to customize my Xbox avatar. Upon pressing the button in the Xbox app, it launched the Windows Store app, prompting me to download another app to then finally allow me to customize avatars. Now I'm sure there are more examples of this, but Steam has all of these features built into the same window, which makes the experience feel very fluid and in reverse feel very splintered with the Xbox app, where you have to have 3 or more apps all open at the same time with what Steam manages to do within just one. To me this just seems bizarre. Microsoft are not stupid, but there is no way in hell the Windows Store can compete on any level with its rivals. Microsoft doesn't submit sales data on their PC games, but judging by the 2 heavy-hitting titles, Gears of War 4 and Halo Wars 2 multiplayer on PC, essentially being dead within a few months after release, I can't imagine that the Windows Store is doing too well if the 2 biggest exclusive games that Microsoft has can't even sustain a multiplayer population. The messaging coming out of Microsoft is sometimes contradictory. For example, when it came to putting games on PC, in March of 2016, Phil Spencer said, and I quote, "I don't want to make it some kind of artificial mandate," referring to releasing games on PC and Xbox at the same time, because then I think we end up with Franken games. Games that really weren't meant for a certain platform, and because some suit said, hey, everything's got to run on both platforms, you end up with something that people don't want. This makes sense, but just a month prior to making this statement, Microsoft came out with a surprise announcement that Quantum Break would have a PC port less than 2 months out from its release. The game went live and had pretty severe technical issues on PC. One major issue being that the game runs quite poorly even on high-end machines, even still to this day. This is one example of the messaging sometimes not being too clear. A recent statement from Phil issued in February might raise hope for some, as the games mentioned in that statement all seem to be coming to both Xbox and Windows 10. However, at this point it's difficult to predict anything based on what comes out of the PR machine, so we'll have to wait and see. Something else I noticed in that, learning from their mistakes, they are releasing free, albeit cut down versions of some of their biggest franchises such as Forza 6 Apex and Halo 5 Forge. I think this is a genius move, as releasing these for free avoids the bad PR of buggy paid for releases and presents them with a platform to experiment with to ensure their engines run nicely on the PCs of the world. To give credit where credit is due, Forza 6 Apex is one of the most technically impressive ports I've ever seen. An oddity is that some exclusive games have shown up on Steam, such as Quantum Break and Halo Wars 1 Remastered. However, Microsoft hasn't clearly defined their strategy for this approach, only mentioning that they aren't really against it, so it's hard to predict what exactly this means going forward. So the situation as I see it is this. Microsoft wants a part of the PC gaming pie, and they have two choices in how they can do that. The first option is they make great PC ports and release them to existing popular platforms such as Steam, just like any other publisher. The second option is they completely overhaul their existing Windows Store platform, achieving feature parity with Steam and consolidating all features into a single app. Currently they have chosen to go the way of having their own platform, except offering a service that is devoid of many features. If I was to rate Microsoft's PC gaming efforts, I would say it's anemic and half-cocked. There's simply not any real excitement even when they release Xbox exclusive games, and I think people generally don't really care anymore, especially considering Microsoft's biggest franchises like Gears of War and Halo are well past their golden years at this point. If their current deployment strategy carries on as is, I don't see Microsoft making any meaningful impact in the PC space, and whilst I would like to see the first real competitor to Steam, I just doubt they would put up the investment necessary to make this happen. But with E3 just around the corner, it will be interesting to see what they have in store for PC gamers. I'm just not holding my breath this time. Hey guys, it's Blonde Bassist. I'd like to talk about my new Patreon account. The link's in the description.
Shut the fuck up, you cunt! Shut it!
Seriously though, I do have a Patreon. You don't have to become a patron, but I'd appreciate it if you did. Thanks.